Hello and welcome to the Art, Soul, and Tarot Summit. I'm here today with Whitney Freya. Whitney, I'm so excited to be with you.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you for creating this container. I love, and I have woven, the creative painting practice that I offer, as well as the tarot symbols and all that. So I love the theme of your container here.
Yes, thank you. Well, the name came from spirit, really, and it's pieces of myself that I've been tapping into as well for a long time, and it just seemed like a great way to bring these, because I mean, art is soul, and a way of tapping into yourself can be through, the divination process and the symbols and the imagery that come through so many of these oracles and different cards. So yeah. So I just before we dive into questions and we get into the talk of it, I wanted to invite everyone in for us just to take a breath together to come into the space together. So let's take a breath. May you receive what is here for you today. Okay, so Whitney, I would just love for you to tell us. Oh, I saw that. Oh no.
What I get for multitasking, I was just trying to, yeah, get these symbols more visible here.
Yes.
No, don't edit that out. This is how we
This is
roll,
real.
right? It's
Yeah,
not about
exactly.
perfectionism,
I know this could fall down any second. So
right?
I
So
notice it's wonky and I've tried to fix it. It's just how it is. um, what I was going to say is if you'll just tell us anything you want to share about yourself and your work, as an artist and your path, as what's going on with you now.
absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, so I think it always seems to give people a lot of hope, and I love that, I grew up a total wannabe artist, and I have never had any formal art training, anything even remotely near any formal art training. I opened an art center in 1996. And I had not painted on a canvas since I was 9 when the art teacher told me and my mom that drawing wasn't my thing. And so, what I heard as a 9-year old is that I hadn't inherited that creative DNA, the old story around art making, that only some people were born, with that artistic gene, and probably their grandmother was an artist or, something like that. And it was pretty easy to understand that unless you had this like natural talent, that it wasn't really important for you to have anything to do with art, and get focused on more productive things or, you know, uh, jobs or careers that would ensure a level of safety and security. And what I believe the true nature of why art has always been a part of our human existence is because it's meant to guide us into an awareness of how life is meant to be lived as art. It is here to create a balance between the product oriented, go go, do do, linear aspect of life, which is very important. Um, and, however, how important it is to balance and to create space where your mind can wander, to create time and space in your day to bring yourself present, to tune into your heart that only knows love, as opposed to staying in the mental frequency that, unless you are consciously carving out the time to get present and get alone and get quiet, you are by nature plugging into the collective frequency. And, there's a spectrum, right? But in general, I think it's very important, apparently, because this is coming through right now, to really understand that part of your self-care right now in this world is really dedicating time and space every day, every other day, whatever works for you, whenever it crosses your mind, oh, I need to get present, I need to get quiet, and it would serve me to tap into in whatever way. Like I do it through meditation, I do it through getting outside and walking, getting in nature and painting, to really slow down and raise really the level of awareness, like rise above to look at life, whether my personal life or the collective, from a higher perspective. And it's from that perspective that you can understand the symbolism of what's happening, and also receive objectively where you can be the change you want to see in the world, starting from within, you know.
Mhm.
So that is my passion, is sharing this practice that is easily accessible to everyone, that has nothing to do with talent or skill. And along the way, I love to share kind of prompts and tips and things that I love, to do at the canvas. And ultimately, it's recognizing, and from my perspective, knowing that each and every one of us, and you listening, watching, you have a way that you make your mark. You have colors that you naturally love. You have patterns and shapes that you naturally draw. And what's it going to take to allow you to go to a canvas or an art journal and just lose yourself in color and soften the focus and dissolve into the present moment, and while being aligned with that creative frequency, right? Which is the most effective way to just understand the very next step, or the very next idea that's going to really support you, your healing, your relationships, your overall well-being.
Yes, I love that. What came to mind is when you were talking about making time, there's so many people, women I've talked to, mostly women, who battle with that because they have, maybe even they're very creative and they love to do it, but they don't make the time,
Yeah.
for stillness or being creative or even just doing the things that they've already identified that they love to do, but they feel guilty or they put everyone else first.
Mhm.
What do you say to someone who is in that, struggle or meets that resistance? How do you work through that?
Well, so the first thing to understand, whether you're thinking I don't have time, or oh, I'm not creative, I can't even draw a straight line, any of those things, is first to understand that still, even with the I don't have time, because we're all busy, everyone is busy. Um, any of those stories, at the foundation is still the belief that art only has value as product. So what you're really saying is, I don't have time to devote to a painting that I will want or need to make perfect or good enough that I would actually share it with someone,
Mhm.
right? I don't have time to be like a master fine artist. I don't have time to devote myself to developing, this professional level of artistry when it comes to painting. And that's not what I'm talking about at all. I'm talking about, it's funny, this is the first time this analogy has come to mind, but I'm thinking like, okay, ladies, we make time for our, facial routine and our masks, once a week. We find time to nurture our physical bodies, or when we're in, a like stressful state, somehow you find time to rest or to sleep more. Like, I believe that aligning with and nurturing this creative awareness within and around you is paramount to living a healthy, fulfilled life. Because if you're not in touch with your creative frequency, if you don't know how to access that part of you that's like, ooh, this is a challenge, this is dark, this is heavy, this is, not comfortable, I'm being called into the unknown. If you do not know how to access the part of you that loves that space, you are in a place of fight or flight. You are in a place of stress or worry. You are in a place of unworthiness. You're in a place of fear. And that is not good for you on any level,
Mhm.
right? So the I don't have time is just your logical left brain that's afraid that someone's going to look at what you paint and say, oh, you're really not very good at that, are you? Like, my 4-year-old paints better than you, or whatever it is, that
I
you
think
might
it's the to-do
imagine.
list. Sometimes it's like, oh, well, I should, like you said, productivity. Like, oh, well,
Yeah.
I should be pouring into this person or should finish this first, or it's not going to look good. So like like that self-doubt and that self-criticism. If I do it, it's not going to look good and I'm going to have to face that feeling.
Exactly, exactly. And that's just the part of you that literally is physiologically programmed to resist all change. keeping you from this practice because there will be change and transformation on the other side, even just the letting go of fear. It's like the ego is like, we're, I think, pretty aware these days of phrases like the healthy and the unhealthy, masculine, feminine. There's the healthy and the unhealthy ego. And a healthy ego understands that it's here to individualize yourself from the masses. Like you are a unique expression of what it's like to be an infinite being in a human body, just like there are infinite colors that we can mix on our palette. We don't need a whole palette of blues. We need every color. That's what we want to create with. So, from the perspective of a healthy ego, the healthy ego understands that it's meant to follow the heart, that it's meant to be inspired and to take directions from that inspired self. And your inspired self lives in the present moment. And your inspired self is infinitely creative. And you and your role is actually to be the on the ground portal for these ideas, these visions, these processes, these new ways of being or doing or things to hold and create. You're simply the portal through which these things emerge. Just like if someone gave you vegetable seeds to plant in your garden, you have to be the one to take the seed out of the packet, right? And clear the space and put it deep in the earth, the exact right depth, and make sure it gets light and water and warmth. It does not need you to go out there and, okay, today's the day, that next leaf, you want to pop out that next leaf, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like that in life. Like you're meant to be in this collaborative relationship. If you have a new idea of something that you're being called into, whether it's opening up to a vacation you want to take, or buying a new house, or learning something new, you're meant to understand that the process of creating that into your physical experience is a collaborative one. You don't have to have all the answers. You just need to be the on the ground physicalized person with the hands and the feet and the mouth and the brain and the ability to communicate to make it happen.
Mm.
So it's a paradigm shift for sure. And it's one that I offer to people, at the canvas through this personal painting practice to get to know it. Just to stay open and try and see what it feels like. See what your day feels like when you start just playing with color. It feels way different, way better.
Yeah, I love that. In that, as I'm hearing you talk about on the canvas, surrendering and just following what feels good, and how that can reflect back in your life, and like what you choose to follow your joy in that, how the act of meeting your resistance to, approaching painting can actually help you with the skills in life in approaching a dream or something like that. Is that what
Mhm.
I'm hearing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's a level of creative confidence because anytime we have an idea of something new we want to experience, there is going to be a level of fear, like somewhere on the spectrum of fear, because there is unknown. And when you look at like where we are collectively, there's a lot of unknown when we look ahead, and that makes people very uncomfortable. And without awareness, we start looking for like the magic pill or the person who's going to show up and, wave the magic wand. Maybe we watched too much Sleeping Beauty, as a child or something, but like you are the magic wand. Like you are literally the wand and letting your infinite self, which is who I connect with when I go to the canvas, allow that aspect to, know how to wield the magic wand. You just have to make yourself available. So this is big medicine right now. And the unknown can also be something to celebrate and anticipate and get excited about. There's no way we don't have way more solutions than there are problems. But if we spend our time focusing on the problems and what is, it's like we've created this total blockade to letting the newness come through. And that's what I am all about on all levels. Like at the canvas, get curious. about all the different things you could paint instead of worrying that what you paint isn't going to look right. Right? When we look at the world and how we'd like it to be more peaceful and more compassionate and more inclusive, um, focus on that. So how can you be more compassionate and inclusive and, creative in within yourself? And how can you nurture that? So it's really important. I believe one of the greatest gifts we're being offered right now, because it's so intense, because there are so many people that are like, I'm having a really hard time. I mean, I talk to people almost every day that are like, yesterday, 2 days ago, over the weekend, I was in a really dark place, and we need new tools. And the fact is that everything is energy. Everything has a vibration, everything has a frequency. And so whenever you're feeling those heavy feelings, it's up to you, not anything outside of you. It's up to you to do whatever it takes to raise your frequency, to look at things from a higher perspective so that it feels like you can see where you fit in, because we can't be like flying around the world putting out all the fires, but we can see like, where is there a fire burning within me? Or if there's a particular fire that's close by or accessible or near and dear to our heart, then yes, take action and be a part of the change, right? But it's not healthy to stay taking in the collective fear and not doing anything with it.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up. I wanted to talk to you about that. And thank you for, yeah, acknowledging the fear, the overwhelm, and compassion fatigue that can come in right now. The more that the darkness or whatever you want to call it, evil, the more that things are becoming to light.
The contrast is getting
Yes,
greater and
the
greater.
um, it does something to our nervous system, our psyche, especially if we feel overwhelmed and don't know where to fit in, where our part is to improve the world in our own way or whatever we can do. So I was just curious if you would talk about what inspired you with the Great Mother March, and also what you recommend for other people just looking out in the world and things aren't okay. It's
Yeah.
things are unacceptable. What is my part? What do I do? How do I know what is mine to do?
Yeah, yeah. And I just feel like, I want to acknowledge that I take these times we're living in very seriously. And of course, as I explain the Great Mother March, that will also become obvious. But the most important thing is, again, energetically, like if we all collapse into the doom and gloom, then we have doom and gloom. And so, for those of us that have the privilege of tending to our mindset and our health on an energetic level, it's really, really important that we be the energy of possibility and hope so that those that truly are, suffering, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, who do not have the capacity right now to be the change they want to see in the world because they're just trying to survive. So we can be that for them, so we can increase that frequency so that when people need help, there are people right there with the capacity to serve because as a collective, we are nurturing that, right? So I just don't want to be like
Thank you.
nonchalant about,
Yeah.
the suffering that people are experiencing and the
Thank you.
sacrifices people are making. So for me, one of the greatest gifts that the painting practice has offered to me and that I intend to share with all of my students in all the ways is that humanity is being called right now to remember the power of our focus. And we've heard this explained in so many ways, like where your attention goes, energy flows, what you focus on expands, which wolf you feed, right, is the one that wins. We know this. And can we intend every day, every hour, every afternoon, morning to really put that into practice? Because it is true. This is how, energy works on the level of physics. So when I go to paint, I'm painting, like if I'm painting an owl, I'm not just painting an owl, I'm painting, one day it may be wisdom, one day it may be to illuminate my intuition. It may be shadow work, like help me see what's in the dark that I haven't seen before, to help me more fully show up. So I'm focusing on what I'm painting on a symbolic level. The Buddha, that's easy, right? Like focusing on inner peace, focusing on calm. So what I paint is intending to help me, literally like create the time and space to focus on what I want. So in November 2024, I got given an unstoppable dream. So my latest book, 30 Days to Unstoppable, Be the Dream Made Visible, is exactly, it's like careful the books you write, or, you know, maybe not be careful, right? But literally, so what I write about in the book is when you receive the idea, the vision, the next calling that feels big, right? So I was literally sitting on the front porch just having tea, thinking about visiting Asheville back last year in March 2025. And I heard the way I hear, which I get thoughts that maybe, 20, 30 years ago, I used to think were random thoughts because, it was like they weren't coming from me. But literally, I heard women are marching from Asheville to DC. And I like it took my breath away and I almost started crying. And I was, because I know
I
like
got
this is how I
chills.
open an art center with no art background. Like I know these calls. Unfortunately, they space themselves out, which is nice because otherwise, I wouldn't have the capacity. But when I heard that, it was immediately this visceral reaction. I almost started crying and it was like, okay. What?
Marching orders. Yeah.
And then I remember so clearly just being like, I'm open because that's my first bit of advice. When you get this idea that both excites you and lights you up and also is like, oh man, really? Like, I don't know if I can do this. Suspend all judgment. Like, don't even try and filter it through what I affectionately refer to as your puny earth brain, like, can I do this? Is this realistic? Don't even go there. You respond to the idea with, I am open. I am receptive. Like, if you want me to, and literally, I was like, I'm open. Like, if you want me to do this, you got to show me that this is in alignment. And so it was 2 weeks. I mean, I usually tell people wait 24, 48 hours. It took me 2 weeks because I know I had to either commit or say no, because otherwise we're doing things half-hearted. And if you're half-hearted, the universe can't support you. Like if you're not sure, then the universe is just going to wait and wait and wait. So if you have any of these things that you've been like wanting to experience in your life, and why is this taking so long? You might want to check in with that. Like, am I really radically committed? Like, this is happening no matter what. If it takes a year, 10 years, like, I am choosing this future reality and I'm committed to maintaining that vision and that focus, that frequency, and then you will get there. So what's it going to take when you feel nervous? This is why I've been painting a lot lately. Like as busy as I am, I'm constantly painting because the Great Mother March is a 32-day pilgrimage from Asheville to DC. 32 stops, 32 communities. I was just on the phone with EJ in Warrenton, Virginia, who's offered his land for us to camp on, and he's coordinating food. And we've got a gallery there that was allowing us to invite people to come paint on our collaborative mural. And so this is 32 times. And then I just scanned, 18 sheets maps with the highlighted route for Virginia Department of Transportation. And, it's this massive, massive logistical undertaking, which is calling me into new levels of belief around my logistical abilities. And I'm painting a lot because I can't even touch down. I feel like a dragonfly and I touch down on the details and the logistics enough to like do what I need to do. But I can't go too deep because then I start feeling like, oh my gosh, how is this ever going to work? Right? So I have to like stay hovering above, like just download the scan app, scan the maps, just, one step at a time, one brush stroke at a time. Because what the Great Mother March is a call to make this inspired, creative, fiercely loving, compassionate, wise feminine visible. because she is ready to come back into balance with her masculine counterpart, which lives inside all of us. Like we all have an empowered feminine and masculine. The empowered feminine is the part of you that carves out the time, tells the people you live with, hey, I'm taking 30 minutes. So you all figure your stuff out while I'm taking my 30 minutes. And she goes into the room and closes her eyes to go into that darkness, or goes to the canvas to connect with her Shakti and get the advice, get your own advice. And then the masculine, our empowered sacred masculine, comes in and is like, okay, I see your heart is lit up with this new idea and vision. What do you need me to do? What do you need me to get? What do you need me to protect? You know, protect this idea from that inner critic, from the feelings of not enoughness. How can I support this vision? That's how we're meant to work within ourselves, within our neighborhoods, our communities, our states, our countries, our world. And that's what the Great Mother March is making visible. So, and I mean, I have to say, the other thing that happens when you lean in big is big magic happens. So, like the monks, I don't know when the lead monk got his idea, right? But like the monks walking almost right in front of us is such a beautiful blessing and affirmation, and like energetically paving the way. And now just the people, the communities we've been talking to since the monks, there's this whole different energy of like, we want to be a community that shows up as the most amazing hosts for you all. And it's just,
That's so
yeah,
beautiful.
it's
I feel
amazing.
that.
Yeah.
Thank you
So,
for sharing.
so yeah, the Great Mother March is intending to seed beginnings within each person who's walking, within each person that we meet. It's an opportunity for people, you know, in the World Wide Web to focus and join us in focusing on these visions of a returning to balance, of blessing our Mother Earth, of existing in a compassionate, sustainable way. You may just witness how we're not using any plastic water bottles on the march. You may witness women taking 32 days out, and men, from their lives and disrupting your idea about what's possible, different ways you can meet this reality. You know, the opportunity to cheer us on. We have people pinning hearts and sending them to us, and we're handing hearts out as we walk. So it's a collective invitation to focus on all that's possible. So this is a visionary movement. We are not putting any attention on what's happening, you know, current events or anything. It's all focused on what's possible and how we can collaborate together and how we can meet each other with mutual respect. And there's absolutely a need and a place for what I've come to understand for myself as reactionary movements, right? Things that start happening that are like, oh no, not on our watch. We show up to intend to stop that in its tracks, but we can't all be in those places, right? And again, there needs to be a balance. If we're just focused on what we're against, okay, so that goes away. What is coming up alongside? What is coming in instead? And I think people are really hungry for an orientation. Like, where is the world we're heading to? You know, like, show me the next steps. And so that's what the Great Mother March is intending to make visible. And it perhaps is just the first of what I'm asking for in every other year march
Wow.
to
Wow.
tend to this rebalancing, you know.
Yes. Well, on behalf of humanity and the planet, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So beautiful and it's so inspiring. I mean, just to take something so huge that there's no way your mind could hold all the steps and when that first comes in. And there was a quote, and I was thinking about this and speaking to you, and it reminded me of a quote I read from James Dean a long time ago. And so I wrote it because I wanted to see
Hmm.
what you say. Um, so he said, I am trying to have the courage to be tender in my life. I know violence is weakness. Only the gentle are ever really strong.
Oof.
So speaking, to balancing the masculine and the feminine and the how, as a man craving that that gentleness and feeling safe in the world to express it and understanding the strength in it.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, it is beautiful. And um, inclusivity and communicating inclusivity is big right now, of course, and the wording on websites and things like that. And what I really want people to hear right now is that the masculine and the feminine are not gender specific, right? We all have both. Like I mentioned earlier, the intention is that the sacred feminine and masculine within each of us has a place and a role and is in an equally collaborative relationship. Um, and and I'm aware of the men that are feeling, whether they're feeling like they're being lumped in with the unhealthy masculine, or what role do I play, or this, that, or the other. um, so there are a couple ways of looking at that, right? One is, I know for myself, and I know what the Great Mother March is communicating. Um, there is no anti anything. There is a choice to nurture and align with a different mentality and perspective within which everyone is allowed the gentleness and the strength, right? And for men, this is as much a transition as it is for the women. Women are being called into new levels of authority. This is one of the words that I feel the most strongly that women need to get to know for themselves, their own inner authority. I know I've spent a lot of time in my life knowing deep truth, but not having the authority to communicate it effectively, whether in my previous marriage, my only marriage, or in any other forums. And then now the way I speak with an authority that isn't concerned about what anybody else is going to think or the way they're going to judge what I'm saying, because I know I'm coming from a place of love and compassion, and I am heavily convicted in the visions that I have. And these visions, the newness, that's the feminine aspect in all of us. I tell people, a lot of the people I work with have been told and called idealistic, or dreamers, or gullible, things like that. And we are that way because we are here to hold space for what's possible. And so first, women need to embody that authority to give the masculine, in all of us, the opportunity to serve, right? Like, again, to provide the structure. The way I understood the flow growing up was I'd get, the new idea that got me all sparkly, and then I would go, whether to my inner or outer masculine, and say, okay, so I've got this idea. Can I do it? And
yeah.
that masculine is like, it's not their role. They're not the visionary ones. So if you're going to ask that masculine aspect, again, internal or external, and there's not a sure thing, because that masculine wants you to be safe, it's there to protect you. So it's going to tell you no, because it wants you safe and protected. It's not that it doesn't want your dreams to come true. It's that its top priority is to keep you safe and protected. Now, if we're not asking the masculine for permission, if we're letting them know, hey, I'm doing this new thing, and there is a lot of unknown, so I need you alongside of me to help protect and keep me safe. But I'm doing this because I know in my heart that I am being called into this new expression of me. And I need the support of the masculine. So when we embody that as women, then the men aren't being asked, can I do it? We're just saying, how do you want to play along? How do you want to? So, yes, all that to say, we want to understand the healthy roles of the masculine and the feminine. And again, we have them within each of us. And and I'm just thinking of, like, I'm in Asheville right now where the march starts, and I go to yoga, I go out with friends, and whenever I meet a man, I'm like, men, we need you. We need the men to hold the line. They're serving as route stewards, like our human pylons. And so for the feminine to say, men, we need you, they just like, okay, I am needed. How can I serve? It's very noticeable. So get curious about that and see how you can maybe lean into a new facet of your awareness around your own inner masculine and feminine, and then how it manifests in the world.
Yeah, I love that. The harmonizing in within yourself, because there can be a battle between the two within yourself, and then bringing that into harmony, and then holding the vision for it in life, so you're not like in battle or expecting the worst of someone. That can happen
Yes,
from previous things. Um,
exactly.
so I have a question I'm asking everyone, just to sort of unify the whole summit with one question. Um, and I was wondering for you, like looking back, what would you tell a younger version of yourself?
Hmm. Yeah.
What do you want her to
Um,
know?
so I probably wouldn't tell her at 26, like, just wait till your 50s. It's really going to kick in. Right? I probably wouldn't tell her that. Um, yeah, actually, what I tell the me that said yes to opening the art center with no art background is I send her so much gratitude. Um, and, I really I don't have the thing like that I wished I'd done differently because, you know, like I could have said, like, don't worry about, the ups and downs or the months where things just barely make ends meet or when things get hard because it's like within the wrestling in that muck, is where you source what you need to bloom. So I think, you know, maybe if I could have understood sooner how energy works and the role of, energy and how to really stay aligned. I know there are aspects in my journey that perhaps took longer than they needed to because I didn't know how to hold resonance with a desired future, and I know I would go to backup plans and fill up the space of the vision with fears around it not working. But again, that's why I speak with so much conviction around, because now that I know that, it's like the most magical experience and I feel so supported. That's one of my greatest um, like gifts that I am so grateful for is whenever I feel supported, it just really is like, oh, thank you. And it's the unseen support that is really where the juice is. So yeah, I'd send her gratitude and maybe just say, when it looks the darkest, just know you're being prepared.
I love that. When it's the darkest, know you're being prepared.
Hmm.
Mm, I feel that.
Hmm.
Yeah. That unseen support that I think is what's so important. It's trusting it, opening to receive it. It's not something we're taught by any
No.
means. But yeah, and even in your art, the seeing the support reflect back through symbols and colors and the
Yeah.
medicine, like you said, with the intention of seeking wisdom or whatever it is, the image that you're creating, but drawing in that essence from it.
Hmm. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. So, what do you want our viewer to know, like how to follow with you, keep in following with you, and what can they do to
Yes,
stay
absolutely.
in touch?
So please go to whitneyfreya.com. There are a couple gifts there that you can access for free. One is my favorite supplies, which includes paints and art journals, as well as books that I love that will inspire your creative journey. They're not art books, they're more books around mindset and mindfulness and consciousness and energy and frequency and spirituality. And then I do have kind of a newly launched pathway for people that want to explore this sacred painting practice. So, when you go to my website, you'll see the link for my online courses, or you can go directly to whitneyfreyastudio.com and join Sacred Painting for Beginners. It's a very nice, easy price point to join and experience, get to know, get curious around what this painting practice is that I'm offering. And know that it is absolutely playful. It is absolutely going to trigger the part of you that like needs to be productive because it is like free flowing. It's more like a meditation. It's lessons that you can do in 10 to 15 minutes, while you're having your morning coffee. It's your morning painting meditation or before you go to bed, to let go of the day and enter into sleep with this beautiful palette of presence. So I highly, highly recommend that um, because what I've seen over the last 30 years of so many people I work with who've never painted, haven't painted since they were kids. And as soon, it can be like after the first brush stroke, they make friends and allow this form of expression to be an ally for them. Little big things shift. And it's such a joy for me to, celebrate with them. And of course, we are marching right now, or we just finished marching. So go to Great Mother March on Instagram, or we have a group on Facebook, and check it out. Look at what the experience was like. I'm going to go ahead and model one of the practices that I do at the canvas, as well as in, my internal painting that's in my mind all the time. Since you all are listening to this, literally either the day we are setting off for Alexandria, Virginia, getting to DC, on the other side of DC. And I'm just going to let you know that it went amazingly. And we had so many delightful surprises, and we were strengthened and nurtured along the way. We took back so much wisdom. We blessed the land, and we generated so many smiles, so many hugs along the way. So do go and bask in the afterglow with us. And so
Yeah.
it is.
Yes, and so it is. Yes, glory be. Mm, yes, I celebrate that right now. And
Okay.
I can already feel the love that's surrounding the whole event, each step, that it's you're protected and guided and filled with love. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yay. So yes, so please, viewer, go to Whitney's website, get her free gifts, and really check out that sacred painting course. And also, I want to also invite you to hit the love offering button to give an energetic return back to Whitney for her time and energy and wisdom that she shared with us during the summit. Um, so please do that. And again, thank you, Whitney. Thank you, viewer. Thank you, friend, for being here. And I hope you'll join us on the next one. Thanks so much. Bye. Bye for now.